Hello, my name is Tyler Young, and for my final presentation, I will be presenting in the company that I work at, which is UPS. Next slide, please. Agenda. So today I'm going to go over some of the key points I took from this class. I don't believe I'll be able to present on all of them due to time constraints, but the main ones that I think were the most important were global expansion, as it's a current company focus of UPS. The RFP process is an operational process as it directly relates to my role. The SOW contracting process, some market risks that UPS has, and then a wrap up. Okay, next slide, please. Global expansion. Currently, the main focus of UPS is expanding globally at a rapid rate. Every year, we're building massive mega hubs in countries all around the world. This just furthers our supply chain and logistics network. Currently, this year, set to open, we are opening new hubs in England, Germany, Poland, and Hungary. And another one of the major expansion items that we have done, we purchased 14 brand new Boeing 747 8 airplanes, and they're set to be delivered in 2020. And what this is going to help us do is just continue to grow our network. These planes are absolutely massive. They'll be the biggest ones in our air fleet, and with the newest technology, so they'll be able to handle much more capacity than the typical airplanes we have, and that will just further our supply chain network and continue to expand. And one thing I wrote about in a previous post is Tesla. Tesla is currently working with Walmart and a few other unnamed companies and letting them test their semi-tractor trailer truck, which is electric, and it can go up to 500 miles on a single charge. This is a great example, as we discussed, environmental sustainability and how it relates to our company. Obviously, don't mean to tarnish UPS, but we're pretty terrible with that, as everything we do really runs on gas between our airplanes, our cars, our everything, the carts that drive around the hub. It's just we just have such an environmental impact, and I believe as of now nothing's been stated, but if UPS were to partner with Tesla on this initiative or perhaps other initiatives, it could be very beneficial to our company. Next slide, please. So the RFP process. As stated previously, I'm a commodity supervisor in corporate procurement, and one of my job responsibilities is to conduct RFPs quite often. RFP stands for Request for Proposal. So how the process works is a UPS stakeholder contacts procurement requesting an RFP. Procurement and the stakeholder meet to discuss the specifics of the project, the cost, the scope, timeline, etc. Procurement sets up the RFP in Ariba, which is UPS's procurement software that stores contracts and conducts RFPs. Upon that, we release the RFP to vendors with a 2-week timeline. This gives the vendor an ample amount of time to complete it. After that, the vendor creates a formal proposal in a PowerPoint or Word doc and pricing sheet and contacts procurement with any questions. At the conclusion of the 2 weeks, procurement gives the UPS stakeholder the proposals for their review. Upon reviewing the documents, and they have a good understanding of companies they want to shortlist, I give them a formal pricing summary that gives them a better understanding of what they're getting for the companies that are going to be giving them the deliverable. And at the end of the day, UPS stakeholder makes the decision and begins the ACC approval process. ACC stands for Appropriation, Creation, and Control, and it's basically our internal processing site. Next slide, please. Okay, so the SOW contracting process. SOW is essentially a statement of work. So simply a statement of work could be something like Ernst & Young will complete blank consulting hours for UPS. Seems like an easy document to execute, but there are many contractual language that needs to go into these documents. So SOWs typically are on a request-by-request basis by certain UPS stakeholders, or they come directly after an RFP where the vendor that has awarded the business I begin to draft up an SOW with that vendor based off of their RFP presentation. So essentially, what's included in the SOW process is a scope of work. This section is a very high level overview of the services that will be performed to complete the project. The task section, which is the steps that a consultant will take to finish a product. Deliverables is the finished product that is a result of the tasks that were completed. Project timeline demonstrates the exact timeline the vendor will provide the work for UPS. An invoice schedule with the full-time employees. This is essentially a chart that the vendors fill in to provide the information on the employees working on this project, as well as a schedule for invoices. And then our acceptance criteria. It's a contractual clause that clearly depicts the steps that will be taken if the vendor's work does not meet UPS standards. Essentially, this process, along with the RFP process, is how can it be improved? This is a question that I ask myself on a daily basis. As from an operations standpoint, I'm trying to make my job as efficient as possible. And essentially, procurement is the liaison between vendors and the UPS stakeholder. And we try and keep the communication as separate as possible. Like I'll send communication channels through myself from the stakeholder to the vendor through me to the stakeholder, vice versa. Sometimes the issue with this I run into is we're all not on the same page and there's delays in contracts, etc. But in the future, we have been including stakeholders with vendors, but we're looking for better ways to do that because there's certain documents that the stakeholder does not need to see due to our confidentiality. As procurement, we typically keep things very confidential. Next, market risks. Okay, so I have to talk about it as it seems to come up all the time with everyone at UPS is Amazon. Amazon is our largest customer. I've actually been working in the hub. Everyone from corporate, most people from corporate were sent out to work in the Atlanta hubs as they're very backed up on packages, and I was delivering packages out of my personal automobile today, majority of them being Amazon. And the most curious thing I noticed about this is our biggest customer is actually our biggest threat. Amazon is continuing to expand at an unfathomable rate, and if we fail to change and become different like they are, we may see a pretty steep decline in our profits from them because they're doing things like Sunday delivery. Actually, in Atlanta, they do this thing where someone will literally from Amazon will come to your house in their personal automobile. They do this all the time, and they'll deliver the package, and they'll deliver it at obscure hours, or they'll deliver it on Sundays. They're just basically willing to do things that UPS has never done. And this could potentially hurt us because although it's a very small, minimalistic thing now, it can potentially grow into something much bigger. And also Uber. Uber does do deliveries, delivers packages from companies, so that could be a potential threat, but that's much smaller than the Amazon threat. Last slide, please. So I'll wrap up. We are a strong company. We've been around for well over 100 years, and we're looking to continue to prosper in the future. However, there are some market risks associated. You can't be the top dog the entire time, so people are looking to definitely beat us out in certain aspects, and room for improvement operationally. You can never be too good, as people always say, and there's room for improvement in our operations, and we're continuing to automate most of our hubs and make less dependence on the employee. And yeah, it's a very great company, and I love working there. Thank you for your time. That's it.